Welcome to today's video for what is going to be a very special one because we are assembling the SR20 to put into the S15 to make hopefully around 500 horsepower would be great. But of course we're at Yashio Factory. We need to go inside and get started on that thing. The weather is absolutely splendid right now. Summer is definitely rolling in here. It's nice and warm, it's short weather. I definitely need to go to the beach soon because it's pretty much spot on beach weather. Anyways, as you can see, everyone's crazy busy as per usual. Looks like got some new wheels going on a customer's car, which is awesome. And here is everything as I left it yesterday. Pretty much all I need to do is clean everything and start assembling with pre-lube on everything. I do need to do one more plastic gauge check, which is on the rod bearings. Once we have the crank all bolted in there and we start looking at putting the pistons in, we will need to do that. But otherwise, we're ready to start rolling. So let's get cleaning and get everything lubed up and assembly lube there, and we should be ready to go. Everything is now torqued to spec, and a good way to check that everything's all good is your crank should be able to turn over nice and easy like this, not get caught on anything. And we are in the green, guys. Look how easy this thing is turning. It feels so smooth and nice. It's a few days later now, and that's because we actually had to order some more bearings for the conrods. The ones that we had here, we were missing one or two that just weren't the right size, so we just decided to wait till we could get the right ones from Nismo, which we have now. Okay, so it's time to get that first piston tapped into place. Oh, that looked painful. It's nice seeing Okachan's technique there. And there we go. I'll be doing the rest, so Okachan's running me through the first one. Let's see where we're at. Remembering we have to do a plastic gauge clearance check first on every conrod bearing before we finish and tighten them up. So I am going to have to lube these up after we do the plastic gauge. That piece of plastic gauge there, and then there is a right way that these end caps have to go in a certain way, and you have to match those up. Looking for the notch on the conrod side for the end cap. HKS uses ARP 2000 fasteners, I believe, for these conrods. So excited, full rotating assembly is going to be finished today. We're going through the Nissan engine building manual now. We've got to tighten this to about 13.7 to 15.7 newton meters, and then a further 60 to 65 degrees after that. Perfect. Nice. And then reset it for 60 degrees. Here we go. Now we can take that end cap off and we can check our plastic gauge tolerance. So what Akachan was saying is we want to see about 0.03 of clearance. As long as that checks out, we should be good. Caps can get stuck on there a little bit sometimes. There we go. We are pretty much on the money there, it looks like. Really good. 0.3 で、10で3 So we're looking really nice and tight there, which is good. Exactly in our tolerances. The whole reason why we had to wait a couple of days and order different bearings is because my crank and everything is so virgin that it's very, very close to like original factory specs. And with Akachan's never really used 0 or 1 level bearings before on the conrod. And once again, if you guys remember, we had to take a picture of the crankshaft because the crank has the conrod bearing numbers on them. Here's a picture that I took, and you can see that the top one was for the mains and the bottom 0110 is what bearings you need for your conrods. And that's why we had to match everything up.
Okay.
So he said that it's perfect. Now it's my turn to do the rest of them. Oh, this feels wrong. Okay. Next one. Okay.
もうちょっとちゃんとこの辺、いいよ。もうちょっと、いいよ。言ってしまった？OK。
I need to put a little bit of oil in the little setting spots here. Okay. And this little dot here is the front. Okay.
そしたら周りをちょっと、そんでもう一回キュッと締めていく。OK。まっすぐ置いてる？まっすぐ。じゃあ叩いて。そうそうそう。OK OK。そうそう。またこっち。そうそうそう。はい。OK。ソフトソフトソフトソフトソフトソフト。
there. And now we got to match up the little notches here.
大丈夫？
うん、大丈夫。
気合ってる？うん。いいんじゃない？
いい思います。
Cool.
So we can see here. Oh yeah, bang on. Come back in there.
Okay.
All right, we're good. So we actually discovered when checking number 3 here with the plastic gauge that the tolerance is a little too tight. So we're going to be moving from a 1 conrod bearing to a 0 to give us a little bit more space. Also, I had to re-torque the first 2 because once I got onto the 3rd one, I actually noticed that my little extension here had a crack in it. And that's most likely going to be taking away some torque. And it's probably very hard to see this here. But let's see if we can get this crack here to show. There you go. So what I did was I took this out of the equation and re-torqued the first 2 conrods all over again, and it did feel like it was a lot stronger that time as well. So I'm glad I caught that. Anyways, I'm going to get on to changing out the bearing on this one. We put the piston in, checked it, taking it all out again, changing the conrod bearing, putting it back in, and then we should be good. But yeah, all part of the process, and I'm learning a lot, so I'm loving this. So the only cylinder that I had to switch out the bearing for something that wasn't according to the crank number was number 3. And we have everything together now. It's looking fresh. I'm pretty hyped about this. All rotating and done. So we finished successfully our rotating assembly for today. I'm going to start assembling everything else. I'm going to get the oil pan and stuff situated, probably get the timing chain and like the oil pump on and stuff like that, and start putting this thing together best we can, so that, I mean, we may even be able to get the head sitting on this today. I'm going to keep grinding away and trying to get this done. So I got the timing chain and guides all bolted on and ready to roll. The next part is brand new front cover / oil pump. Super important, doesn't matter how old the SR is. If you're going to use the OEM pump, put a brand new one on it. It's not that hard to do, and it's worth it. The next thing that you need to do is always replace the oil pump O-ring. This thing here, if you forget to put an O-ring in there, you're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna lose oil pressure. It's gonna spray out everywhere. You're gonna have to pull them out. If you don't change it, they get very fragile. I mean, it's just common sense. It's a consumable product. If you got a hard, crusty O-ring there, you're gonna have a bad time in the future. So just get a new one from Nissan. They're not even $1. Put some little bit of silicone grease on that so it stays in there and holds in place. Squeeze her in, and she's in there good to go. Next is a front cover, which is the brand new oil pump. Get that prepped. But this is looking good. I'm just cleaning some of that silicone grease off because we are going to be running a bead here of silicone and RTV, and I do not want any of that RTV to not actually seal against the body frame there, or whatever it's called. And here we go. Brand spanking new from Nissan front cover / oil pump. comes with a brand new front main installed. These oil pumps are also primed as well. They've got like Vaseline and stuff in there as well, so you don't need to pre-prime them. You can actually see some of the fluid leaking out of this one. It's seriously my favorite thing, because if you put a new oil pump front cover on, it just ties in everything. You can never get an old oil pump looking clean. You should just never use an old oil pump because it's a consumable product. Once again, it does wear out. And this just looks so much better when you put a fresh one on. Look how beautiful this looks right here. I love that they put this polystyrene here to cover the pin for the TDC marker. Anyways, I'm going to quickly clean off some of this fluid that's come out of the pump. And then we'll put her on and get her ready. So as you guys just saw, we got the front cover and oil pump installed. It looks amazing. I can't get over just how good it looks with the brand new oil pump on there. It's all tying together nice with how shiny and clean the rest of the block is. Oh man, looks great. Anyways, now we're gonna actually be flipping the motor over because it's time to get the oil pan and everything on. The bottom end is now pretty much all together, and the finishing touch is this beautiful stainless steel Tomei powered oil pan. Tomei powered Japan, not the fake American Tomei brand. Also, stainless thread there, very important. If you guys buy or use the Greddy ones, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They strip and pull out because they use really weak alloy and there's not enough threads to hold the oil plug. So you always end up having to throw those in the bin or get them repaired. It's just not worth it. So go for the Tomei stainless one. It's definitely a way better quality. Anyways, this is it, the last final touch. Let's get this thing on here. Line it up with the holes and we should be ready to party. Done. Gonna go get those bolts all done up. And then the whole bottom end assembly is done. Clean my fingerprints off that. Look at that, that looks so good. Ooh. So now that we have the bottom end of the motor all sealed up and good to roll, I'm gonna start working on assembling the rest of the motor and getting all like the little accessories bolted on. We're obviously gonna be doing head studs, gasket, and putting the head on. And we are going to be using ARP head studs. One thing I want to clarify actually is there's a whole bunch of rumors that have been passed around since as long as I can remember that ARP head studs are bad because they don't bottom out on the block, which is just total BS. And trust me, that rumor's been passed around forever, and they say like certain brands are the only ones that you should use, but those brands that they are buying are actually made by ARP anyway, so they're the exact same head studs. So don't fall for any of those rumors. Any kind of like ARP head stud or like any other branded ARP head stud, they all work the same. They're great head studs, and I highly recommend doing them if you're planning to run high boost, and obviously that is the plan with this thing. So we're going to be using these, making sure that you use all the instructions that come with them. Use the fastener assembly lube on both the studs and the nuts on the washers. But yeah, I'm gonna set up a time lapse. We're gonna smash through this. Pretty massive update after that time lapse. As you can see, we now have the head on and torque to spec, and this thing is starting to look even more like an engine. I definitely made a little mistake when I was putting the head on. I thought I had to put the ARP studs in first before putting the head on, but turns out you actually have to put them in with the head already sitting on. Otherwise you can't clearance the chain guide when trying to like get the head lined up on the studs and get it on there. So sorted that out, but everything's torqued to spec now. And man, I am so excited. We're gonna do the cams and everything, get that valve cover sitting on there by today. This thing's gonna be ready. So I am now currently working on all the itty gritty stuff that goes into assembling the head. I've already gone through and done the exhaust side. We've got our rocker arms and shims and everything in there. Now I'm working on the intake side on the shims, and it's not just as simple as putting everything in. Usually, as long as you keep everything in the same order, they go in and everything's okay, but I really recommend you crack out a micrometer, something like this, and you can see that the bottom of it's actually been machined perfectly to fit in where the lifter goes. And what you want to do is make sure that you're no more than like one, I think this is in millimeters, like 1 millimeter out is in tolerance. So if I put this on here, we reset this, I can see we're at about 41 here. And we'll take this up, move it to this one, put it back in the center like that one. Try and get it in the same spot, and we're about 40 there. A little bit lower maybe. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, we're about 40. So pretty much bang on, one millimeter difference between the two here. And you want to make sure that all of this checks out across the board. These shims are all different sizes. If these are really far out, your rocker arms are going to pop off like all the time. So this is like very important and key to making sure that like your rockers don't have any issues, as well as this will affect your lift, and it can also break cams and do a whole bunch of other stuff. And yeah, it's just measure 3 times, don't make the mistake, you know what I mean? So I'm going to keep going through and do the next set and the next set, and then set the rocker's arm. Also, pro tip for anyone, always when you're looking at the side of your engine, the locating shim for the rocker, the one with the little slit in it here, always goes on the left, okay? So if ever you need to quickly put your rocker back in at the track, left is key. And then same on the intake side, when I'm facing the engine sideways, locator shim is always on the left, okay? A little pro tip. So I'm going to go through and finish this, and then hopefully we'll get the cams in. I forgot to show you this, but this is Okachan's container here of all the different sizes, shims and stuff that go into this thing, and it's kind of crazy. I actually have already had to replace a few because they were too big or too small to match everything up, but oh man, I'm so hyped. Learning all this stuff is like insane. Finished getting all the rockers and shims in the head now, and even though I kept everything in the same order, I had to replace 4 shims in total that were out of spec. So keep that in mind, guys. And now it's time to clean these cams up, get those in there with the cam caps. I am now finished assembling everything in the head. Everything is timed. I've put a tensioner in there for now. I do have an aftermarket one coming, but this thing is all together. I've already turned it over a few times. It feels great. We're not getting any contact with the valves, so I know everything's perfect. A little pro tip for anyone who's doing timing, the darker linkages, which I have marked here on pink, they need to be lined up here. And you're gonna see a total of 3 linkages here. So 1, 2, and 3. And then on this side, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in between here to here should be 11 linkages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We know we're perfect, bang on. And we are obviously on our pulley here at TDC, top dead center, 0 degrees. So, we good. Everything torqued to spec, everything done exactly how Okachan taught me. I am so excited. This is like, I've obviously I've put a head on a motor before and stuff like that with the Miata build, you guys saw that, but I have never assembled a rotating assembly before. So this is officially my very first engine build. And what's kind of very special about this block, I did explain previously, this was a brand new block that came from Nissan. It doesn't even have an engine number, it's blank. So we're gonna put our own engine number on there, and I'm gonna put SAMMIT 0001 for my very first ever assembled engine build. I'm pretty stoked. For it to also be a forged HKS build as well that's capable of some power, I'm pretty hyped. I guess this is now the point where we say fingers crossed I did everything correctly. I took my time with it and triple checked everything, cleaned and did everything that I could, and had Oka-chan looking over my shoulder through the entire thing. So unless I did something really, really stupid and didn't pick up on it, which I think is going to be very, very rare because I triple checked everything I did, to the point where Oka-chan was like, come on, man, like just stop being so critical and put it together. So I think we're going to be okay, but obviously I'm nervous. First time putting an engine together myself, so I'm probably not going to go to sleep tonight and try and like go through everything in my mind and think of anything that I could have left not tightened. And of course, before we even think about closing out the video, we need to sit this valve cover on here, make it official. We good, we done. I'm excited. Okamoto-san, 本当にありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。Nice shirt. いくらですか？50万。50万? So he wants $5 grand for teaching me. 教えてだから50万？50万欲しい？じゃあ50ぐらい、50台焼肉いいですか？Okay. All right, I'm happy. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up the video here. Thanks for watching. It's probably going to be a long video, but I wanted to get the entire engine assembled in the one video, and it feels so good to have it completed. So smash that like button, write a comment, and subscribe. Tell me in the comment section, what are you most excited about with this build? Head to SAMMIT.net, grab yourself some merch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. Jamata.